Good morning. We are here bright and early. How are we doing today? Yes, it's Tuesday. So come on in. I had technical difficulties to the fullest, like the maximum extent this morning. So bear with me as I just use my notepad, which I normally have been using my computer, and I actually placed my mic down, so hopefully you are able to hear me perfectly fine as I go through this live. It's only going to be a few minutes, and then if there's anyone on, I would love to be able to answer questions. And so we're talking about feeling state shifts and what it means to feeling state shift, but also want to know, like, if you're curious about feeling states, you're probably curious as to why you need to even be aware of this in the first place. And so I want to just give like 3 points as to why you want to get really familiar with your feeling states in general, and then we'll just loop it back to how you are materializing desire. And so when you are aware of your feeling state shifts, you are not just aware of that, but you're also aware of when you are shifting into the feeling state that is aligned, which is your desired feeling state, or you are essentially shifting out of your desired feeling state, which is a feeling state that materializes out of false belief. So there's a difference. You're either going to be able to know whether you are operating or feeling or thinking or believing from a false belief or an aligned belief. And so the best way to be able to determine whether, like, where you are on that spectrum is by getting really deep with yourself and getting your self-awareness to a level above where you currently are, so that you can properly diagnose, so to speak, where it is that you are in relation to what it is that you want. So I hope you can hear me clearly because I'm not holding my mic, but I want to just give really like small like tips as to how you can start to build how you would build any muscle. And for those of you who are in the manifestation community and have not anchored in on let's say imagination or visualization, that's the type of muscle that you want to start to flex in order to get stronger and stronger, because you're only going to get better and better when you find out, because I was not good at any of that stuff, but you find out over time, like when you are working away at it, meaning you're dedicating daily, like actual time during your day that is specific to your like growing of your imagination, growing of your self awareness. I'm like tripping up on words now. That you actually strengthen this muscle. So there's absolutely nothing in this manifestation process that I have that you absolutely just cannot do, and like it's impossible to not be capable of doing it, because you already naturally do it. You already naturally do this. You already naturally manifest, and you're already in your like daily like habitual feeling state, if you want to take it as that way, if you want to process it that way. And so when you are wanting to shift and you're noticing that you're not, let's say that you're noticing that you are in a false belief, and you want to start to release that false belief and start to shift into the feeling state of already having your desire, what I would recommend and what has worked for me is that I get really still and focus on my emotional self-regulation. And focusing on my emotional self-regulation has allowed me to then perceive life and everything around me, including myself, in a different way, in a higher perspective. And I really like to pair self-regulation, and then you kind of make this routine like specific to you and what you want to particularly work on. and you dedicate that time to building that muscle. So for me, it was emotional self-regulation and being like just, I guess, efficient enough to know where I was in my feeling state, so that I can start to materialize, not out of the false belief, but out of an aligned belief, something that I actually wanted to experience. And so going back to emotional self-regulation, I was able to, and this is like the same like technique that I'm telling you right now, is that you could actually start getting into self-regulation and breath work at the same time. And if you pair those together, you literally are able to access this higher sense of awareness and this higher sense of perspective. And so there is so much on just like being able to shift states. I call it feeling states because it's just the easiest way to me, it's the easiest way to identify where you are on the spectrum of overall manifesting or materializing your desire. So if you realize that you are, again, materializing out of false belief, which is separation, and you want to start to shift yourself back into the state of already having, because there's nothing to change but self when it comes to materializing your desire, which means the version of you that already has your desire already exists. So if feeling states are the only thing that is keeping you away from your desire, experiencing your desire, how, like, it becomes a question of like how you're going to maneuver yourself through these moments where you want to shift back into having and knowing that this is this is a possibility for you, and this is a state that you are already occupying, and thus experiencing all of the things that you get to experience, whether that be more wealth, more freedom, divine union, a new apartment, just overall location freedom. Like, freedom does it for me, and I know that shifting into the feeling state of already having freedom is going to allow me to achieve more of that, and more abundance, and more options, and more variety. So if that's your jam, I would love to speak to you about it. So don't hesitate to ask me any questions as it pertains to materializing your desire and noticing when you are shifting in and out of feeling states. This is a skill, right? So don't feel like you have to beat yourself up for doing it wrong. Like I've said this before, you are not stopping your desire from coming if you are in a feeling state of feeling like you're not doing it right. So always have that feeling that everything is always working out for you anyways, and it's through the intention itself that's going to allow the desire to materialize in the first place. So on that note, feel free to reach out to me via DM on more information about just shifting feeling states and being able to increase your overall self-awareness and perspective, so that you can be in a mode of an observer like right now, and then be able to shift into the feeling state that is going to allow you to materialize your desire, because it is your birthright. You're already experiencing it, so why not shift into that timeline? So that said, I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday, and I will see you on the next live. Cheers.